Good evening. I'm calling the March 25th, 2026 meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order. The time is 7 p.m. Board, the first thing is to approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Adams to approve our agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. The agenda is set. Moving on, the only thing on our agenda is actually a public hearing concerning the tax rate. Mr. Bryant, would you provide us a brief overview, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, members of the board. Want to give you a brief overview of setting the tax rate. We've done this once every 6 years. So the last time we went through this process of the full reassessment was 6 years ago. It's quite a lengthy process. As you recall, we hired Pearson's appraisal service. They went through and appraised approximately 19,000 parcels in the county through an appraisal process. At that point, citizens have the ability to then had the ability to appeal their particular parcels with that company. That was back in the fall and early winter. And we're in the stage now where our Board of Equalizations has been set up. They held their first appeals in last Friday, and they will continue to do that process throughout this year. Also want to thank all the department heads that have worked on the budget process. The budget process and the tax rate go hand in hand, and how they work together. We actually start the budget process in October and work through a full calendar. So it's a long process where we work through all the needs and expenses for the county to look over things like public safety and the landfill and all the different things that we work towards. So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to turn it back over to you, but tonight, you're right, we are holding a public hearing for the tax rate.
Understood. Okay, so before I open the public hearing concerning the tax rate, when you come forward, if you would state your name and your district of residence, and then you will have 3 minutes. There are lights at the podium. The green light means you're good. When it turns yellow, you should be thinking about wrapping up your comments, and when it turns red, I'm going to ask you to wrap up and stop. So with that, is there anyone that would like to address the board concerning the tax rate? If you come forward and state your name and district.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Carol Nassif. I live in Longco District. And when Pearson's did the assessments, no one came to my property that I know of to look at it. I was at work at the time. My neighbor said that she didn't see anybody over there. Also, when it come time for the appeals, I wasn't able to make it to any of the meetings that they had because of the days and nights because I was working. I'm now retired and I live on a fixed income. But my concern is the money that's going to the schools. They just got a ton of money to renovate the high school, and now they're asking for more money for different positions. And when purchasing the fire trucks, we need fire trucks, but why do we have to wait 3 to 4 years to get them? That's it,
That's it? Thank you, Ms. Nassif.
right now.
All right.
Thank you.
And
All right.
we can't afford 58 cents. I know I can't.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? If you'd state your name and district, please.
I'm Jeff Wilkinson, 196 Gullich, right across the street. I'm new to the county, and I don't really have an opinion so much on the rate itself, but I would first like to thank Claudia Tucker for making the announcement Monday night at the Republican meeting that this meeting was taking place. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. But one of the things that's obvious to me is that doing assessments every 6 years is insufficient because people are going to be upset because of inflation. I mean, look at inflation every year. Regardless who the president is, regardless whose Congress is, prices go up. And in order to be competitive, in order to maintain good staff, whether it be schools, or I see several of the constitutional officers here, if you want to retain good people, you got to pay them. And the reason I know that is that I was an agency head for Governor Youngkin in his administration. And when he left, I left, and I decided to retire here in Amherst. But you got to pay people if you want to retain people, other, good quality people. So my advice to the board is don't do assessments every 6 years. I would recommend doing them every 2 or 3 years so you don't have such culture shock. But just think about it. What did something cost 6 years ago compared to what it is today? Let's leave gasoline out of the equation because of the current war. But just think about a gallon of milk, how much it cost 6 years ago. So my advice is do the reassessments every 2 or 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Krista, is that mic on?
I think so. All right, sir, if you'd state your name and district, please.
Stephen Martin. I live at, no, that's terrible. We just built a house on Foxhall Drive, right over there. My main concern, so back in 2023, 2024, and this is relevant, so just hear me out, the value of cars skyrocketed, all right? And yet there was never any attempt to change the rate. So there was a windfall tax increase. It really wasn't called a tax increase. I'm here because I don't want to see that happen again with our real estate values. If you look at people on Social Security, they had a cost of living increase of 2.28% for 2026. If you work in Amherst and you get a 3% raise increase, you're probably doing well. You're probably very fortunate. So my question is, how much can the people of Amherst be whacked with a humongous tax increase due to property taxes that have skyrocketed from 20 to 70%, and I've heard worse horror stories than that. So please consider Amherst citizens. And my suggestion would be, what is the revenue neutral tax rate? I don't know if y'all know that yet or not, but if you found what the revenue neutral tax rate is for 2025, so the same income can be here, then how much of an increase do you need? Just 10%? Because we're all living only on 3% increase. How much of an increase does the county need and will be willing to do based on that, if that makes sense, increase? Because I know it would devastate a lot of people to keep the tax rate at 61 cents. We're all struggling with food, and y'all understand that, food and all the other expenses that have gone up. So please consider that. And I asked one other thing, and I guess my understanding with this was a meeting on the cap of 61 cents that y'all were going to further negotiate where it was going to be. Is that correct? Okay. Well, I would ask that you all, to show the citizens of Amherst you're sincerely want to do the best that you possibly can to help find a fair, equitable way that we can all afford to stay in the city, in Amherst, and lower the cap to 56 cents rather than maintaining the status quo, because that kind of says to everybody, well, the worst cases will be where it is, and the average increase is 50%, you're going to get nailed. And that speaks to us saying, well, is this just going to be like the cars? We're just going to leave it, So that would be my humble request, to consider that, just to show us you're serious about really finding a fair, equitable way to handle this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir, would you like to come forward, sir? If you would state your name and district, please.
Yes, my name is John Ballard, and I live off of 60 east of the traffic circle. I forget the name of the district. As several people have said, they seem to be concerned about the equalization, and Virginia state law takes care of that for us as citizens. It says that when you have a reassessment and it's more than a very minor percent, that the tax rate has to go down and get equalized for that. And the result of that is 39 cents. The rate goes from the 61 cents to 39 cents. That's our base rate right now. Any increase from the 39 cents, which is revenue neutral, as the last gentleman was talking about and asking for, would be a significant increase. Now, certainly there's been inflation since the 61 cents was put in, since the reassessment, so forth. Our population has not increased, so we don't need a lot more employees to take care of the services here in Amherst County, please. I know that it's been in the newspaper that there have been requests for, I think it was 33 new positions. And when you have a pretty even population, we've been getting good service so far. I don't believe we need 33 additional people here. The school population has actually dropped, so I don't think we need additional teachers, because the class size should be going down because there are less pupils if we have the same number of people. Anyway, so that would speak for a continuation of the 39-cent equalized value, but since it has been 6 years since we've had an increase, and during that time, the CPI has increased by 25% under our friends in Washington. I think an increase of that same 25% up to a rate of 49 cents, from 39 to 49 is about a 25% increase, and I think that's justified and reasonable considering the population and so forth.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, sir. Ma'am, you in the back.
My name is Jean Powell. I think I'm in Mr. Pugh's district, Dixie Airport Road. Yeah, I've tried to call a couple times and leave messages, but I hadn't returned call. But anyway, I'm a single homeowner and retired. Y'all going up at the 5.8%. I figured it out before I left home. Y'all will be getting one of my checks every year just for my home. It's not doable. We very little income coming in, but, giving it all back to the county. I think it's too much of a jump at one time. I understand inflation and things go up. I also feel that, and I understand everybody wants raises, everybody wants health insurance, everybody wants this, that, and the other. I was in healthcare for 30 years. When our insurance went up, we paid for it. When I retired, Medicare goes up, we pay for it. I don't see that as a major cut I feel that could be made. We're taking food out of our homes to feed everybody else, and we're on the lowest of the income. And I just wish y'all would please consider that when it comes to this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. Yes, sir. If you state your name and district, please.
My
My name's William Fuller. I live at Dairy Road. I don't know what district it is, but I tell you, I've been in this county for 45 years. I got away from Lynchburg for the high taxes, Bedford County. Came out here, and I tell you, the government's just about taking me apart. I bought a house on Walking Road. Was in there for almost 14 years. Bypass comes along, takes that away from me. Out there, I had everything just like I wanted it. I retire, Social Security, they cut my Social Security in half for some reason. And it's like $380 a month, and it's hard to live on Social Security for $380. A few years ago, when y'all did the appraisals, you wanted to raise my taxes. The reason you did was for improvements. Stated, overhang on my garage, which was there way before I bought it. It's about 40 years old. And the pavement was all cracked up and everything too. But that was the reason I wanted to raise my taxes. And now, my insurance, health and car insurance, is literally killing me. Not along with everything else that's going up. So I don't know how much more I can survive. I'm just gonna probably have to sell and move somewhere to a shack, small place somewhere or something. I'm gonna have to give up what I done worked for all my life. And it's hard. It is very hard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Yes, sir, if you'd come on up.
How y'all doing tonight?
Good, if you'd state your name and district, please.
Sky Packet, I'm on River Road. I don't know the district. I'm new out here. And forgive me, I was not planning on being here tonight. I didn't realize till the last minute y'all had this meeting, but I just thought I'd go ahead and speak to the fact I've been selling real estate for three decades in this area. Based out of Lynchburg primarily. Recently moved out here. I've had conversation with several of y'all about what I always saw Amherst County as a sleeper, just a beautiful area and up and coming place. I bought land out here about 4 years ago and built my house, and y'all assessed it. And then just this past year, you reassessed it and raised it 76%. In fact, you assessed it over the local appraised value. I kept getting the same answer from everybody. Well, we only do it every 6 years. Well, not in my case. You did it at like 2 years, and my whole complaint with that is at the value you're assessing me. And actually, I met with your assessors from or your appraisal company from Richmond. And being in real estate, if I ever on one of my listings saw somebody coming from Richmond to put value on a property in Lynchburg or Amherst or Campbell County, anywhere, I wouldn't let them in the door. They don't know the market. They don't know what they're doing here. They don't belong here. So, excuse me. The other part of that is that I'm paying city taxes now, and I don't get the city services. So I just don't see how that structure works out. On top of that, the appraisers that I met with told me that it was state regulated, that the assessment's supposed to equal market value. I don't know how many of y'all have bought and sold real estate in your time on this earth, but in 30 years, I've never seen that be the case. In fact, I saw Lynchburg try and up that assessment to meet that value, got all kinds, and then they had to bring it back down. So not only did y'all assess my property at market value, but you went beyond market value, because the local appraisal is going to trump somebody from Richmond telling me what my property's worth. I know y'all are tasked with a whole lot. I know the process is very difficult. I don't agree with waiting every 6 years to do it, but that happened long before I got here. There needs to be a better solution. I guess what's done is done. Now what needs to happen is that rate needs to come way on down. Y'all are overtaxing people, and especially to assess property at that value in a declining market. We're just coming out of the worst market we've seen in 10 years, and I can back all that up with data if anybody wants to see it. So I just think that the whole process needs to be addressed first of all, and the most recent, the rate, I guess, is the only way to address what y'all have done to this point, and it should be looked at very closely. So, thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Okay. Anyone else that would like to address the board? All right, hearing and seeing none, the public hearing is closed. So, Mr. Bryant, what is our next steps?
Yep. Earlier today, we held a budget workshop at 4 p.m. We talked about what the budget would look like. We addressed a number of things such as the capital improvement items, school funding. There are some things that I know that we're waiting on in terms of schools' budget, with whether it comes back as a governor budget or not. So what we need is direction on. We're planning to hold the public hearing on April the 21st for the budget, CIP and schools budget. At our earlier meeting, you told us the budget you wanted to build around. We just want to be clear on the tax rate. You've mentioned that as well. I think it would be good to reiterate that, but other than that, we don't need anything else from the board at this time.
Okay, so just for the public where we are, we did have a work session this afternoon. Again, very difficult budget season. A majority of the board directed staff to prepare a budget at 58 cents, being the rate. We did ask for some more information from the schools to see if we couldn't get that rate a little bit lower, but that's where we are. The next meeting is what day?
April 21st.
April 21st. That would be a public hearing on the budget.
Correct.
Itself. Also, the election day,
That was set, it's a 7 p.m.
Yes.
meeting.
7 p.m. meeting, great. Okay, so, also, if you would, reiterate how they can talk to you about the Board of Equalization.
Yeah, the Board of Equalization, you can call 946-9400 and set up an appointment with the Board of Equalization if people haven't already done so.
Okay. Board, any comments?
Mr. Adams, did you want to, you and I had talked about something.
Oh, you
you
talked
wanted-
as far, so, yeah, so the only other historical data we thought would be important, just to make sure that everybody understood from Amherst County's perspective, and we had some citizens that asked prior to the public hearing started. Going back and actually talking to the Commissioner of Revenue, the best recollection as far as historical data, the last tax increase that Amherst County had on real estate was back in, actually 12 years ago, so we've gone through 2 reassessments at the same rate. So, and again, as many of you have pointed out tonight about the concerns over a 6-year reassessment, this is still an ongoing discussion between the board. It seems like that this has been a hot topic for some time, and this is going to be something that we're going to continue to look into going forward to see if it's going to be a better option other than 6 years. A whole lot can happen in a 6-year period of time, as we saw. We're living that right now. So just wanted to provide that little bit of historical data as far as where we've been sitting for such a long period of time at the same tax rate. The other thing that was, if we go back and I didn't want to put Ms. Irby on the spot, but I'm going to try to find out from her going forward in the next couple of days. But when we had our last reassessment, what the average across the board increase was in real estate compared to what we saw this time. And Amherst County was not an anomaly. Several of us network with folks all across the Commonwealth, and there seemed to be a norm, whether we liked it or not. And trust us, all of us board members up here are feeling the same pain, and we have the same concerns. So we all live in Amherst County, so just keep that in mind. So just wanted to provide another tidbit of information as well for you guys as the citizens and for people that are watching online. But we certainly appreciate, I appreciate all of you coming out tonight and taking the time to participate in the public hearing.
Absolutely. And what I was doing when you were doing is I was actually taking notes. Anyone else like to say anything? All right, it's not. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion on the floor by Ms. Tucker. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. We stand adjourned.